today's overstimulated world, companies are seeking ways to stand out in the clutter of everything else. Awakening our senses through multi-sensory marketing is one way to resonate at levels marketers haven't fully explored. We have the ability to enhance experiences and engage memories that trigger emotions and build lasting relationships. Our brains come alive when our senses are activated. One of the easiest ways to light up our brains is through music and sound. When we experience music, we are processing sound in addition to engaging regions of our brains associated with movement, attention, planning, and memory. Music in our brain transforms us, changing our brain chemistry and how we feel at that moment. It connects us to memories and connects us to others. Despite our differences, listening to music unites us through a common experience. Musicians share their emotional state through vibration and rhythm, transferring it to their listeners. Though there are similarities in how our brains experience music, our unique personalities and histories ultimately shape how each song or sound impacts us. When we combine music or sound with powerful visuals, we can create even more impactful experiences. We can take our audiences to places they have experienced before or transform them to places they dream of going. By enhancing their imaginations, we can activate their brains and change their moods. We can create spaces that provide calm in the hectic day or add excitement to their boring night. Adding audio to our visuals ensures the mood we are creating is experienced the way it was designed and not left to the individual's imagination or to the viewer's own experience or memories. The combination of audio and visual is even stronger with the addition of scent. Smell is the most powerful sense of all because scent goes directly to the regions of the brain associated with memory and emotions. We are more likely to remember something we smell than something we see, hear, or touch. Companies who activate 3 or more senses are creating immersive experiences where customers are the most likely to come back. Our goal is to make more enjoyable experiences and to elevate the mood of our customers. Happy customers stay longer and buy more. It is that simple. Activate our senses and take us to a familiar place or even a new place. Happy brains are worth the investment. Are you ready?
Morning. Oh, wait a minute. We're at one of the most exciting places on the planet right now. Let's try that again. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, much better, much better. Now I know that I'm amongst happy brains out here in the audience. Welcome to our session today on activating our senses and how music and digital engagement light up our brains. How many of you happened to see the picture I posted on the ICX Summit app last night? Did anyone see the picture? A few of you saw the picture. Those of you who have not seen the picture yet, at some point today, go up and take a look at what a happy brain looks like. We used David in the lab last night.
It might or might not have a slide with that.
Yeah, that's true. I just might have to show you that slide.
What you should know is that when they pulled the cap off the head of my head yesterday, all my hair stuck on there. Which really pissed me off. Right? I thought, donation to science is one thing, but my hair.
I know, but it was so cute. You're just going to have to see it. It was exciting. My name is Roberta Perry, and it's my pleasure to be your moderator this morning. Last year here at ICX, we did another panel about neuroscience and customer experience. And I remember after that panel, and later on Michelle and I were talking about what if we could actually measure some of the things that we talk about when we're all creating customer experiences. So we thought, well, let's test in Michelle Adams' lab some of the ideas that we had about music. And all of us have ideas. We have our intuition. Most of us in this room, because if you're like I am, we've got 25, 30 years of experience in this world of creating customer and guest experiences. So how does our guests and our customers actually react to what it is that we're giving them? And we used to do that by intuition and experience, knowing that. Now we have some initial measurement. So after last year, 4 companies came together. We have the Marriott organization here with David Kepron. We have, of course, Dr. Michelle Adams. It's her lab where we tested David last night, which was so cool. And we have Tamara Dike with Image Sound, and myself, of course, with Fresh Juice Global. We came together to literally test the impact of music, visuals, and scent with the brain. How do our customers react to those 3 things? Now, know that Michelle just finished the research last week. So what you're seeing for the very, very first time. You're, in fact, our first audience where we're going to release some of this data. Now, understand that there is so much data that today, within the hour we're going to give you the Cliff Note version. It's just the tip of the iceberg. The way we're going to work the panel today is we're going to tell the story of the research and what we found. We're going to do it in 4 chapters. One will be music. The first one Michelle will be doing is on the overview of what occurred, how the methodology. Second chapter, Tamara is going to take it on about the music. I will follow with chapter 3 on the visual impact to the brain. And then we've asked David to do chapter 4, which is really wrapping it all up. What does it mean to us out there who are creating customer experiences? So with that, I want to first introduce, and it's just exciting because every time I see the research that you did, Michelle, I am so excited about watching these brains dance. Please welcome Dr. Michelle Adams to the lectern to give us an overview of the research that was just completed.
Thank you so much. What is so exciting is that we did, and we continue to do. So every week we're doing another experiment, we're looking at things, and we're iteratively learning. The company that I formed 5 years ago is called Marketing Brainology. Previous to that, my experience came from PepsiCo. I ran shopper insights and customer strategy across the PepsiCo family, running a neurolab, 4 neurolabs in fact, and I believe Frito-Lay was the first to ever introduce this to the extent that we did, the Neuroscience to CPG, and it's been an exciting ride since then. So lots of excitement now around neuromarketing, neuroscience. Those are hopefully 2 words that you hear more of. Neuromarketing is precisely about connecting what resonates with our brains to the people and understanding that not all brains are the same. And that's the number one finding that as we go through this that I want to make sure we take away is that we're uniquely formed. And our center of our universe and our brains is ourself and our experiences and our history and things that make us tick. And that becomes our universal finding across studies. So let me take you through the slides. I want to think about an analogy. Analogies are quick ways, as symbols are and videos are, for us to remember things. So in a marriage, we come together because we're attracted to somebody. So think about a marriage proposition or a favorite girlfriend or boyfriend that you had. You were attracted initially probably off of physical, just the same way we are to brands in a store or things in a store. You come together because there is something about that person that is something that you value. It might be physical attraction, it might be their intelligence, it might be something they're interested in, maybe they both of you love music, so you come together. That is really how our customers and our consumers are attracted to us as retailers and as brands. So think of the marriage coming together, that union. But we like that analogy also as we talk about the uniting of 2 brilliant souls coming together, music and visuals. And the reason why I really want to emphasize that is so much of the visual, digital content that's out there is without sound. For a variety of reasons, you guys already know that. But without the music, the brain does not respond the same way. So we did an experiment of just music for 15 minutes. So let me take you through the experiment. So my chapter is if you feel it, can we measure it? And it's absolutely true. The lab that actually the team visited last night is called it's the Vault of Human Understanding. It's based in Plano, Texas. But our methodology and our approach can be set up anywhere. Our technology travels with us. You see 2 versions of our EEG equipment right here on stage. One we use with women and one we use with men. We did leave David's hair intact, so don't let that scare you.
On the skull cap, yes.
And the vault of human understanding is kind of priceless to us because we are actually residing in a bank vault of a building in a medical facility in Plano. And so in that bank vault is very precious things called, remember the, what were they called? Those security boxes, those safety deposit boxes? Anybody remember those? And you had a key? So our job with this kind of science is to unlock our brains, to unlock those untapped memories, those experiences, like it said in the video, memories of scent that we don't even know our brains are making those synapses, those connections, but they are. Everything goes back to our world and everything that we're about, all those experiences. So the methodology that we use, and sometimes we use just eye tracking, which you heard about yesterday. Home Depot uses the eye tracking in store. That is a very, very great way to collect information on what people see. Obviously, if they don't see it, their brain isn't responding to it. So that's a very, very important methodology that we use in all our studies. We used it in this study with the Tobii eyeglasses. We use EEG, and in this study, we use 15 minutes of music, a reel that Tamara and her company put together of different kinds of music. We let them hear it for 45 seconds with 2 seconds in between, and then they went on to another another song. They were in a very comfy room, which David can attest. I think he had a Zen moment in our comfy room. In the lab, we have a viewing. You know how those focus groups have those mirrored windows? Well, we were able to watch him through our mirrored window, and instead of him being in a focus group, he was in a neuroscience project. So we could tell if he was having a thought bubble. I mean, don't let that scare you, David. What was really amazing about David is he meditates. And mindful meditation, you might have heard something about. He had very, very honed ability to calm his brain down. And that showed up in his data. We're not going to share his data today. If we had done it after the cocktail hour, that would have been even more interesting. But we use the EEG. It's 16 sensors. We can get somebody hooked up and get readable numbers in about 5 minutes. The women take a little bit longer. We use this technology here because the women are more difficult with their thick hair, if they have especially long, thick hair. And then we do something that none of the players in our space in the neuroscience place. When I was at Frito-Lay, one of the things in PepsiCo frustrated me about this methodology was they never asked people what they were experiencing or what they thought. So it was stated research sat on this side of the research spectrum, and then you had non-conscious research in the neuroscience. And you just got to either see their brain or you got to hear what they said. We married the two. Again, that marriage analogy of they come out of the non-conscious into a video, what we call an in-depth interview, and we capture what they were remembering. What was that experience like? What do they recall? And that becomes very important. So we're going to show you a piece of that. So this would be the picture that Brenda works in the lab. She's a background in neuromarketing, neuroscience. We see some of these folks. There's a conference called the Shopper Brain. Ed King has spoken at it. Raise your hand if you've been part of a neuroscience conference as a speaker. So there's a few folks in this room that understand what this is about and the growth of it in the United States. It's definitely very strong across the globe.
The best selfie ever.
The best selfie ever is what you're seeing. So
I'm now open for any available positions at your company.
We took it upon ourselves to interview in this methodology, bring 45 different folks into the lab. We had our youngest as an 8-year-old girl. Our oldest was a 77-year-old male who had early onset Alzheimer's, because music and Alzheimer's, you might have heard, is a way to bring their brains back. This is the start of what will become a bigger project where we'll begin to go after more and more target populations. We have a significant read. In a study like this, you only need 24. You need 12 men, 12 women. For the eye tracking, you need 30, 15 and 15. We wanted to go deeper across populations because the music that we had was for different generations. So what I need to show you now before I exit and we go into some of the results is this right here. I'm going to give you a very quick overview because you're going to see these 4 brains show up on the slides and on some of the videos as feedback. So there's basically 4 waves that come out of the 16 sensors that we're measuring. The one on the top left is the delta. The delta is basically memory consolidation. And we see that activate almost on everybody, unless they're in a Zen moment, then we see nothing. So if they close their eyes and they're having a Zen moment, there is no activation on any of these waves that I'm showing you. It will be completely green, or if they're sleeping, it will go to blue. We were interviewing a lot of 18-year-olds, 16 to 18-year-olds, boys and girls that were going through final week because the data, and they had stayed up late, so their brains were really sleepy when they were listening to the music, which is kind of fun. Not everybody, but a few. We see alpha. Alpha is the one to look for when motion happens, when music happens. This brain at the top is the frontal lobe, so each of those 4 waves, what you want to look at is the the frontal lobe activation. If we see O1, O2 at the bottom of each of those brains, that's usually when they're making a choice to buy or they're trying to think about something, they're having a recall moment of memory. If their eyes are open, we can see their theta. So we told them to close their eyes, but if they open their eyes, their theta will be activated unless, and we use a webcam to look at what they're doing, and we have a camera over their shoulder as they're going through the experiment. So we can see what's going on, but we can also see in their data. If they're visualizing something, a music video, a moment that they've had an experience with that music, their theta or their beta will become active. So that's what you need to know. Cliff Note version. Let me take you through an example of what this data looks like when we see it as we go to the chapters. All right, Tamara.
Thank you, Michelle. You know, when we first started talking about doing this, I got super excited because in my role working with brands, I am constantly asked the same question: how can you really prove that good music is going to make an impact on my hotel guest or on my customer experience in a retail environment? And the truth is, it's usually from my gut. It's hard to prove, it's hard to explain. And so getting involved in a research study like this got me very excited because I think what we have really achieved is a better understanding of how people actually hear music. As you probably know, and Michelle sort of touched on, you know, music releases dopamine in the frontal lobe. So it's the same thing that's activated by, you know, gambling, sex, love, even coffee. It's a mood enhancer, and it triggers, you know, region in the brain that's connected to attention and planning, and of course the big one, which is memory. And the best part, as we saw yesterday when David stepped into the study, is that it's instant. Although for David, it was a little bit slow because, as Michelle mentioned, he's really good at relaxing, so his base level was down here, so he had to bring himself up. But it was really interesting to watch that. For me, again, talking Cliff Notes, one of the major takeaways from this study that really resonated with me is that it is not as simple as saying, our customers are baby boomers, so let's play Beatles and Beach Boys. There, that'll be it. That's all we need. It's not that simple. The right music for a retail experience just can't be that narrow an approach. And the reason is because it's not one size fits all. It's truly about our reaction to a song, a vocal, a chord. We're all unique and complex, you know, and our participants, as Michelle mentioned, they range in age from 8 all the way through to 77. Imagine the range of experiences that those people have, you know, encountered in their years. You know, I mean, for me, I grew up in the 80s, and the Doobie Brothers, let me tell you, my dad used to crank that in the Camaro. And now every time the Doobie Brothers comes on, that's all I can think about are the leather bucket seats, the wind blowing through my hair, driving way too fast with kids in the back. You know, but that's my memory, right? And you may not expect me to be into the Doobie Brothers, but I absolutely am. Maybe it's a song that you love because you went to a concert. Maybe it's a track that you love to sing when you do karaoke. Maybe you played piano, and every time you hear keys in a song, it reminds you of that action. And so suddenly, you're playing piano and not even realizing it with your fingers as you're walking through the grocery store. It's those sort of components that, come into our world. They change our experiences, and therefore our lens is forever changed. Another major takeaway for me about the research was about new songs. We watched David even last night. It was so interesting to see. There were tracks that he'd never heard before, for sure, and those tracks started to light up his brain as he began to discover and listen and create new memories. So I found that to be very interesting as well. So two of the standout components from the various songs that we tested are rhythm. Our brains like repetition. They like to move, and they actually do move to the rhythm, to the syncopation based on the pattern or beat of a song. The second is vibration. And vibration, I mean positivity and warmth. So if the vibe is positive, your brain feels it. It feels happy. It feels safe. It feels good. It feels invited. And the other two things that were really important, the way that people hear music. So it's either linear in that they are thinking about the words, they recognize the name of an artist, they're anticipating the next moment of the song, and we actually saw the beat show up in the alpha wave. I mean, you can see the beat moving in your brain. It's amazing. And the other is emotional. So, they remember the first time that, they danced with a girl and kissed her. They remember graduating from high school and driving down Highway 1 with the top down listening to the Rolling Stones. They feel these emotions, and so the front part of the brain, the frontal lobe, lights up, and we see their delta and alpha waves actually change. So now we're going to try an audience experiment, right?
So we'd like you to close your eyes as we play the song. And I want you to experience it the way our respondents experienced it. So close your eyes. We'll know if you opened it. And now, there'd be a couple seconds between. Close your eyes again, and we're going to experience another song.
All the single ladies, 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 all the single ladies. Now put your hands up, up in the club, just up, doing my own thing. Decided to dip you, now you want to trip, but another brother noticed me.
Excellent. So, what did it make you feel? How's about that first song? Anybody? What did you feel when you closed your eyes? Anybody want to volunteer?
Romantic.
Okay. Anything else?
Relaxing.
Great. Were you imagining anything visual? Were you seeing anything? Some of you?
Happy,
Yeah?
sure.
Okay. Okay, excellent. Cool.
Did you know that first song?
Anybody know that first one? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Excellent. So, but we had some discovering happening, right? We had some change action in our brains. And so what about that second song? Anyone?
Joy.
Timberlake 7 and 5.
Perfect.
That's why I want to hear that.
That's amazing.
Where you heard it first?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Anybody remember a wedding? Been to a wedding lately? They like to play this at weddings, especially before they thread them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I mean, I speak for myself, I'm thinking dance moves, I'm thinking I see the video, right? So it's interesting, right? And the new discovered music, undiscovered music, what we noticed was that, as I mentioned before, it started to light up the brain and create new memories. And then, the two basic reactions that we saw across our participants, because those were two songs from the actual study, was that the brain sort of mirrored the beat and created movement without physically moving. And then the other was that they sort of started to search the song and analyze it and sort of look for triggers or memories or cues as in the single lady strap. Is there something else, Michelle? Yeah.
We're going to show you 2 examples of one's a 42-year-old and I think the other one's a